Hello and welcome back to another edition of the Nathan Up podcast. Lucky enough to be joined by Craig Stone, a Kent footballing legend, obviously winning promotion with Ebbsfleet, Dover, Tunbridge. He's now the under-18s, under-23s manager at Gillingham. So, Craig, how you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, how are you?
Yeah, we're all right. We're a bit bored, but we're just getting through. How have you been coping during
Absolutely.
lockdown?
Yeah, all right. Yeah, struggled the last few weeks. If I'm totally honest, it's been a little bit difficult. Same as it has for everybody, I'm guessing. But obviously, I find out that football's quite a long way off. So my day job, um, and then obviously just finding things to do. Once obviously I've done all the jobs around the house and different things, it comes that the novelty wears off, and so a little bit of frustration. But yeah, getting through it as we all are, and we're all in the same position, which is good. So we can all help each other.
How have you been keeping track of the sort of Gillingham under-18s and under-23s during lockdown and stuff?
It's been tough because I've been furloughed, like we've been furloughed at Gillingham. So obviously that means we shouldn't really be doing too much contact. But I've just checked in on their welfare, made sure they're okay in terms of their them personally, and how they're getting on and stuff at home, whether they're okay with how things are going, and just gentle reminders. They're all in the same position, and we're all waiting to get back as soon as we possibly can. But until it's safe to do so, we have to make sure that our safety is most important and it comes first, and we just try and keep our spirits up. But other than that, it's tough. When you're doing training every day, and you're an active job like football is, it's very hard to necessarily keep a routine. So it's just a lot more of general conversations and just seeing how people are.
And in terms of your football career, I think you started at Gillingham. How did that come around?
Just playing local level. Originally, I was about 8, 9, 10. I think it was I was in there for a while as a 9-year-old before you could actually get signed at that stage. I'm sure it was 10 when you was able to sign contracts. And I just got scouted, just got picked up from there. There was a guy called Bernie Dillon and Bernie and Bertie. They were actually two scouts. Just picked me up from playing local level, and I went in on trial and ended up getting signed at 10, and I went right the way through from a 10-year-old, obviously, there to I was sort of 19. So yeah, it's just through playing local level football.
What was it like, obviously, making your debut at such a young age at 16?
Yeah, it was. It was obviously, it was great. I'd literally just come out of school, not long finished school, and I was in training during the half terms and different things as they do. And it was all went quite quickly. I played literally as I just signed my scholarship, and it was a pre-season game as a first year apprentice. And I played against Eastbourne away in a pre-season friendly. The manager liked what he saw, and it just kind of went from there. From 16, then as soon as I didn't really spend too much time then in the academy, I was kind of with the first team quite regularly from that moment from 16. So yeah, it was brilliant. Obviously, it's a dream come true for me.
And obviously, I ended up signing for your local team, Ebbsfleet. How did that come about?
Through Ian Docker. It was a club obviously that I knew was just doing, was just on the way up. And just won the FA Trophy, so I was aware of that. I watched that on TV and all that sort of thing when they were in the final. Took a bit of interest because it was a club I used to follow when there was Gravesend and Northfleet. I used to go, my friend Lee and Mark Lindop, who was heavily involved with the club for years. I used to go along with him. I was good friends with him. We used to go along and watch. When the old Gravesend and Northfleet used to stand on the terraces and watch them. Then when sort of Jimmy Jackson was playing and some of the names out that Chucky, was it? Yeah, some of those older guys that were there at Gravesend and Northfleet. But I used to go and watch them quite regularly with my friend and with Mark. So I was aware of the club, and then when I got released from Gillingham, there was Ian Docker just said, what about coming down to Ebbsfleet? And the conversations went from there. I I had a meeting with Liam Daish, and he said what he wanted to obviously happen in that season and how they were going to kick on and go forward. And it was still full time for that stage, so it was like a sideward step for me. But obviously more regular football. So yeah, a lot of it come from Ian Docker, and was a little bit of the go between. But it just felt like a good fit.
Obviously, you done that well that season, but you unfortunately broke your leg against Wrexham. Was that tough? Obviously, doing well and then having that big setback.
Yeah, I just started to kind of find my feet, so to speak, and find the understand the game and understand Conference Premier level football. Was just starting to play consistently well, I think, and there was at the time there was a little bit more, like you say, like the fans were seeming to start to warm it to me a little bit more, and better sort of responses for how I was playing in the games, and then obviously away at Wrexham, unfortunately, it was just one of those things in a tackle. I just went in from a right back position and into the middle of the pitch from a corner. Just went and hit the tackle as hard as I could, and so did the person that I was up against. And it just unfortunately went straight through me and snapped my leg in tib fib in half. So it was tough. Yeah, it was very tough. Obviously, it was my first real injury that I was going to struggle with, and it was going to be potentially something that it's going to be really hard to come back from. So yeah, it was tough times, but the club were great throughout that initial break. They were very, very good to me, so made it a lot easier than what it could have been. But they were good, really supportive.
Yeah, for some reason on Wikipedia it says that the fans bought you a PlayStation.
Yeah, well, yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. It's kind of, so how that come about is, obviously I was had a full leg of plaster, so I wasn't able to get up and about. And they said, look, the fans would like to contribute, and a few fans had mentioned about getting me something and contributed and sort of a bit of a fundraiser. And I said, look, get people to keep their money. I appreciate it. It's great, but it happens. And they said, well, you're going to be sort of sitting down for a bit. Let's say we can at least either get you a PlayStation or a laptop or something like that. And at the time, obviously, my son was quite young, so I said he'll like a PlayStation. He'd love a PlayStation. So I'm not much of a at that time I wasn't much of a sitting down on a laptop or a PlayStation. Anyway, I couldn't really get my head around the fact that I was going to be immobilised. So I went for the PlayStation, and then obviously my son and we both had the opportunity to play the PlayStation together. So it was nice. It was just really good that the fans had obviously made that initial contact with the club to say, look, can we help him out in some way, because we appreciate what he's done, and it's a horrible injury to have with a football club. So it was just more pleasing that I'd even considered it in the first place.
And did you ever worry that you would never get back to sort of how you was playing after with the leg break?
Yeah, I did. That went through my head quite a few times, and to be honest, I have never fully recovered. I've never fully got back to the level of full time. So that was the last time I was full time when I broke it. I've never got back to that level, and I generally don't feel that I could probably play full time now. When I was at Dover, I was training 3 nights a week, and that's obviously the closest I got to full time. But I mean, I do get a lot of problems, with my ankle that I have to manage because I've been in plaster for so long. Because obviously I broke my leg then again in the rehab. So I was actually in plaster. I broke my leg twice, and being out of plaster for a month within that time. So I was literally in plaster. I was immobilised as such for about 18 months, 12 months. So I've never really got back from it. I've never managed to have the capability now, body-wise, to be able to manage full-time and training too much every day. The work that has to go into full-time training and the workload that they have to put their bodies through. I just haven't been able to get back to that. Like I say, it's as you get older, there's been more implications with my leg and different parts. And I've managed it. Don't get me wrong, I've managed it, and I'm still playing. I'm still playing at a good level. I've played at a good level of non-league, and I'm happy with that. And it set me a new career up that I'm really, really pleased about. So But in terms of, has that hindered me, that injury? Yes, it has, in terms of being able to have the capability of playing so regularly.
How tough was that period? Obviously, you broke your leg and then broke it again. Was that obviously a horrible experience?
Yeah, really tough. That I was told in the second time, you're going to probably struggle to play again by a certain doctor. Was just said, but the state of the injury, the fact that you've done it again, in exactly in the same place, and it was quite high. It was quite high towards my knee, so I couldn't have any metal in there. It was literally just, it could only heal by itself, bone to bone. There was nothing there to sort of keep it in place and to stabilise it really. And the surgeon was a bit concerned that it was ever going to heal enough for me, it to be strong enough for me to play again. He said, look, you're going to have different issues with your ankles, which he was, he's been right about. But the only thing he wasn't right about is obviously I've managed to play again. But it has given me implications, and it was tough. It was really, really tough, obviously, to hear that. And I broke my leg at a level where I felt that I had dropped down from, obviously, which I had from the Football League, to a club, and obviously then I broke my leg as well and was out of football for so long. I just felt that I was going to be dropping further and further down. So that was a big concern for me, that at that time I broke my leg as a full-time footballer. So how I was going to get back into the full-time game, being out a year and a half and with severe 2 broken legs, was going to be very, very tough. So yeah, it was hard. The answer to your question is very, very difficult. But luckily, I had a good family behind me, and were able to support that. And when I broke it, my wife and my dad come straight up and dealt with that, and which was it sort of started from there, and then they helped me through it, and we got through it in the end.
And then obviously you got an opportunity to play some games at Maidstone. I don't think it was a lot, but how grateful was you to get that opportunity?
Yeah, it was kind of, I knew a guy who was a manager at the time, Pete Knott. I was good friends with him. I was played under him as a youngster, really, coming through at Gillingham, and I played a couple of games for him at Maidstone and played with his son. So he knew me from there, and he said, look, will you come and help me out and play some games? And I said to him, I'm not ready. I've not played any football. I'm not really trained properly, so not really. But he said, look, we'll look after you. Play when you can. Play as much football as you need to, and use us as much as we will use you. And I did. So it worked out, and that got me back playing. I played really well the first game, and I thought I'm back. And then the leg fatigued, and I got through a lot of. I went through a lot of games where I struggled to play, just through the leg was so fatigued, which I didn't really realise was going to happen. And getting through tackles, getting through being brave enough to get on the ball and all that sort of thing. So it was really helpful. That little period for me at Maidstone, when I went there after the break, was really important, because the longer that goes on, when you're not playing and out of football, the harder it becomes.
Obviously, after that season, you re-signed for Fleet, and in your first season back, you got promoted. What was that like? Obviously, beating Farnborough in that final as well.
Yeah, that season was one of the most special for me for that reason. Ebbsfleet again was great. Liam Dason and Duncan Holt, especially, who's a real good friend of mine now and was chairman at the time. They brought me back. They brought me back to the club. They gave me an opportunity. I actually went and had a trial game for Woking just after the break, and I remember Liam Dace was pretty bad at it, that I'd gone there and hadn't gone straight back to Ebbsfleet. And it was only purely, I didn't think Ebbsfleet would take. I'll be honest, I didn't think Ebbsfleet would take me back. And then he called me and said, "Look, come in and train. We'll see how fit you are, and if you're fit enough, we'll initially get you on a non-contract, and if you're fit enough, we'll chuck the money straight up and we'll get you on a contract." And which is what I did. I went in pre-season, and I was ready then, because I'd played at Maidstone. I'd had a good pre-season. I was ready, and I went back, and as if nothing had changed at Ebbsfleet, to be honest. And I got the contract and was playing regularly every week at right back then after that, and then managed to get promoted. So it was like a, without sounding too cheesy in the cliche, but it was like a fairy tale season for me to come back in, and obviously to be able to go and get promoted. It was like everything was forgotten. And after that,
what was that like? Obviously, after having such a long spell out injured, and then getting your first promotion as a player, was that a good experience?
Yeah, like amazing. And obviously, real good group of lads that friends with still, many of those now, and and it was a really good squad. And it was, like I say, it was just an opportunity for me to get back playing initially, and then just become more and more, you know, and then to get the success and to able to get promoted and to have that experience just made it even better. Rather than just being able to get back playing, it was just one a season where you write off. It was one a season to remember. So it was, yeah, really, really special for me.
And then you had 2 years in the conference, one comfortably in mid-table, and then the other one in relegation. Was it sort of what was the ambition Liam Dace had for them conference seasons?
Obviously, when we initially got into mid-table, it was to kick on. But at the time, I mean, the season we got relegated was a lot due to the funds of the club and a lot to do with the club then found it really difficult to financially support. And, you know, I mean, Liam would probably tell you, I'm not really too sure, but I'm sure now knowing a little bit more as you get older, the budget was probably the lowest by a country mile in that league. So, and that time it was really difficult for a club like Ebbsfleet, you know, to go in and to be away at Tranmere and Stockport and some real big places, and Wrexham, you know, massive back then, and to be able to cope and to manage against those sides on a really, really poor budget, you know, and we had a squad that were really together and a really good squad of good people, but you need that little bit of quality that comes from finances, you know. Unfortunately it does, and it, you know, the money at a certain level is needed to be able to get those little bit of extra quality in that either keeps you up or gets you in the playoffs. And unfortunately we didn't have that money to be able to go and do that, you know. Towards the end of that season, we're chasing our money, we're not sure if we're going to get paid, and Liam Dace was sort of working above and beyond to make sure that every single one of us were paid, and we weren't on, trust me, we were not on good money. We were not on big money for a full-time league trying to survive in the Conference Premier. You know, if clubs now that are in the Conference Premier realise what that budget was of that club and what players were on, they'd probably laugh at it, because it's moved on so much. But yeah, so it is really difficult, and probably in hindsight we were always going to struggle to survive that second season. But when you look at the first season, we finished mid-table comfortably. I think it was about 12th at the time. I think it was something like that, weren't it? So we were certainly on the right direction. We were on the way up. But, you know, like I say, it happens at clubs, and then a new owner come in, and the rest is history.
And obviously, the next season, you signed for another Kent club in Dover. And obviously, then at the end of that season, you got another promotion and lifted the trophy at Tonbridge Road. What was that like, obviously?
Yeah,
on one hand,
apologies. Yeah, a strange one. I never wanted to leave at all. I had never had any intentions of leaving Ebbsfleet. It was a case of a new owner come in, new manager come in, and I actually hung on for quite a while. I remember having phone calls with Jessica McQueen at the time, and I said, "Look, what's going on?" She said, "I don't know. The manager's come in. We don't know what's going on with the players." And it was quite late on when I said, "Look, what's going to happen? I don't want to leave, but." You know, and the manager that come in, Brownie, who I'm good friends with now, he said that I don't really know much about him, so I'm not really gonna. He can go. So I thought, okay, you know, fair enough, and that's his decision. And then I went to Dover and signed for Dover, and brought obviously a couple of players across with me, Nathan Elder and Liam Bellamy, and a few of those lads that I felt would improve Dover, and obviously should still be at Ebbsfleet, and it just so happened it was always going to happen with Ebbsfleet players going as one direction, Dover players going the other direction. We just knew that if we were in and around it, we were going to end up facing each other in a big game, and it just so happened that it was a playoff final and at Stonebridge Road, and I was able to lift the trophy and win promotion, and you know, and obviously it was a great occasion for me, but it wasn't a case of beating Ebbsfleet at all. That was a little bit of a shame. You know, I've got friends that are supporters and actually went over before as the game finished, and I got the odd ones from the back behind the goal slating me a cut. But I laughed at that. You know, it's all part of parcel. And I went actually over to what's used to be the Liam Dace stand and actually apologised, shook a couple of lads' hand, and obviously they, you know, in tongue in cheek, they know it's not an apology, but it's an unfortunate circumstance. But it is what it is, and And then obviously, whenever you get promoted, it's always a really special occasion. It was more the fact that I'd got promoted again and was getting the opportunity to play in the Conference Premier again, rather than it, nothing against that. It was against Ebbsfleet,
And then obviously with Dover, you spent another year in the conference. How was that year in the conference with Dover?
Good. Yeah, it was good. We were, since we got into the Conference Premier, and I say since we have, because since we have, they've stayed in there and they've got better and better and stronger and stronger. And with every season, we did get better. We had some really good FA Cup runs. Unfortunately, I broke my ankle, so I was injured for the one they played against Palace. But we had really good seasons, and Chris Kinnear was great. He built a team that just continued to get stronger and stronger every year. We started off 2 nights a week, ended up going 3 nights a week. So you could see that consistent progression. And the reason I left Dover was purely down to they were going in the direction that I couldn't keep up with due to my work commitments. So, they were looking to go full time. They needed to train more. They were going into a league that was even further north at the time. And so I left them in a very, very good position because they were just kept going in the direction that was moving forward very quickly. So yeah, that really good. Some really good. So I probably had, I had the best times in the Conference Premier with Dover because we were consistently doing well and consistently getting better every year. And obviously being out of Gillingham was great.
And obviously, as you mentioned, you left Dover obviously as the rising up. You spent 2 years at Eastbourne. Was that good?
Yeah, it was different because I had a contract there with Tommy Witherington, and I still laugh with some of the players now. When I met Tommy, and he's a really, really good guy, like a top guy, knows his football. Obviously, he's doing really well now at Bristol Rovers. Someone I hold a lot of respect for, and if ever I get close to coaching or managing to the level that I want to and need advice, it'll be someone like him I'd lean on. But I had a meeting with him and I said, look, I'm a school teacher. At the time was in Barking and Dagenham, and I said, there's no way they trained 3 days a week and then played. And I said, I can't do it. I'm having a conversation here and I've met you, but there's no way can it happen. He said, look, I just want you to play games. If you can get to the matches, don't worry so much about training. So I had an unbelievable contract for 2 years of just playing games and only training during the half terms. So it's a bit different for me because obviously I wasn't going down with the boys, and I wasn't training very much with them. I was playing games, and luckily I had a good group that actually accepted that I was doing that. And it was good. But obviously 2 years of just playing games eventually takes its toll when you're not training with the boys. Eventually you get a little bit not left behind, but you're doing a lot of stuff on your own and missing out on a few things. And I really enjoyed it. Again, it was a tough ask for us to maybe financially at the time to go. There were some big clubs in there spending big money in the Conference South, but again we held our own. There's some really, really good players in there, and I say Tommy was great in what he was doing, and had a really good setup there. It was just I wasn't able to do the day training and to be able to fully commit, and that's eventually why I left, because I wanted to do that.
And then after you left, you came back to Kent with Tonbridge and got promotion. It's a bit of a different setup in terms of promotion there. How different is it, obviously, having to play in a super playoff compared to other playoffs?
Strange, really strange. And obviously they never did it before, and they never do it again because it was a shambles of a situation, really. We've got in the playoffs by like second to last game of the season. We make it in the playoffs, so you celebrate that. And then we got into obviously the playoff semi-final, won that, celebrated that, won the final, celebrated that, had a pitch invasion, got all our trophies, and then you got to play again to get promoted. And you win that, and it's like the whole thing happens again, and you even got another medal. It was so weird, really weird. Not really well thought out, and it was just kind of made up as they went along, I think. Don't get me wrong, because we won it, it was the best feeling ever. Because you just keep winning and winning and just keep getting more and more celebrations. But someone like Met Police, who we beat in the Super Playoff final, it's crazy to think they've won that many games, got to there and then lost what was a made-up game and didn't end up going up. So it was to win was unreal and one of the best feelings of the promotions out of the promotions I've had. But like I say, very strange. You just felt like you were celebrating, and when you shouldn't be. We were getting a lot of can't believe they're celebrating like they've won a league when they haven't. Can't believe they're celebrating winning a semi-final when they got 2 games to play, and it's because it's weird, but you celebrate every game, and like I say, how do you get given a promotion medal when you've still got another game to play? What, you're not supposed to celebrate it. It was strange, really strange, but really, really great occasion because obviously we managed to win it.
Obviously, Tonbridge were obviously not winning that game for a lot of that final. What was it like when obviously Tonbridge did take the lead and get that win against Met Police?
Brilliant. The best one was obviously when Deshaun scored the second goal, taken to extra time because we all thought we were dead and buried. We were huffing and puffing a little bit and had plenty of possession, but we just couldn't score. And we had a couple of goal line scrambles. That I've watched the video back now, and how we missed, I really do not know. But during that time, you're thinking this is just not going to be our day. We went behind twice, which normally we take the lead, we win, but when we go behind, we find it harder at Tunbridge when we at that time. So even though we always believed in ourselves and always had a lot of belief in each other, sometimes you just look as a player, you think this is just not going to be our day. So the second goal was the biggest moment, and then obviously when we scored, as soon as we scored, I knew that we'd won because they weren't going to be able to get back at us then. We were just too big, too strong, too organised, and we'd already conceded 2 goals, which is not necessarily like us that season. So once we got our nose in front, I knew that we were a strong outfit. And then from then on, they didn't really get another chance. It seemed really nervy, but if it was any other game, it wasn't because they didn't have a shot. So yeah, it was a bit of a topsy-turvy game, but obviously then we did in a pitch invasion and everything is brilliant.
And then obviously you moved on to Hastings, where you're actually sort of a player coach. How did it come around that you'd become a coach as well as a player?
It's the route that I want to go down. To be honest with you, I've got a big focus now in coaching. I just got the Gillingham under-18s job, the academy manager's job there. So it's the route that I want to go down, and it's something that I'm really, really interested in. It's a massive part of my focus now. It's my aim. It's an aim or an aim of mine to be a manager at a really good level, as high as I possibly can, and it's something I'm really passionate about now. I'm using this opportunity to listen to other managers, to listen to podcasts, and to speak to certain people in different levels, and to get as much knowledge as I possibly can, because that's what I want to go and do. So it was just the timing of it, and I said to Hastings when they come in, and Chris Aguta, I know really well, tried to sign me for a couple of years, to be honest. And I said, look, it's the route I want to go down. I want to be a player coach. I don't want to do a lot of coaching. I just want to learn. I just want to learn from him. And I want to sort of have the odd coaching session with the boys to see how that works. So I've done a few coaching sessions during the evenings with the boys just to see the response, which has been great. I've got really good responses from it. So I just wanted to dip my feet in, to be honest, at senior level. And I still, I'm not ready to give up playing completely, because I've still got plenty of time left in me. Unless that is forced upon me, then I'll still be playing. And the player coach role is just an opportunity again, just for me. I just felt it's an opportunity for me to learn.
How do you manage your time between, obviously you've got kids, you've got the Gills, and obviously you've got Hastings as well? How do you manage all your time with that?
I don't really. I just the day rolls into one. Luckily, my family are very, very supportive, so they'll come and watch games. My wife will travel down and watch Hastings. My dad will come down and watch at Hastings with my little boy. So luckily, I'm able to still see them in their large part of what I do, my day-to-day job. If I've got a game on a Saturday with the under-18s, they'll come and watch that first, and we'll shoot in the car and go and play for Mason, go and play for Hastings, and they'll come and watch that. Day to day, in certain terms of the weekday, it's not so bad because I'm coaching obviously throughout the whole day that they're at school and at work, and then if I have a Tuesday night game, they'll come and watch. Or if then like I have a training, and we train on Wednesday or Thursday. So if I have training, I'll go down there on my own. But it's not too bad. It works because they're very supportive. If they didn't like football and they didn't want to be part of what I'm doing, then it would probably be an absolute disaster. Because every second of every day is mainly for 9 months of the football season is geared around what I'm doing, and that they have to kind of, come along with that or be a little bit separate. So they're great with the support of that, which really helps.
And obviously now you have a big role at the Gills with managing the under-23s and the under-18s. Has it been a good experience?
Yeah, loved every minute of it. Yeah, working with Steve Evans and Paul Rayner, like two top guys that have been at one of the highest levels at Leeds and Rotherham and clubs like that. So to be able to see how they do things, because obviously eventually I aspire to be the levels that they've been at, and to manage at those levels. So to see how they work day to day, to understand what is needed and what is involved with day to day coaching and managing of groups of people and groups of players of different age groups, because obviously I'm sort of 16 up until 23, 24, so looking after those players and speaking to first team players as well, as I've done a few sessions with them and under 23 games that they play in. So it's been great. I've loved every minute of it, and it's made me realise it's what I want to do. It's definitely what I want to be doing and what my future hopefully will involve with, whether that's as a first team coach, with top people like Paul Rayner and Steve Evans, then so be it. Because like I say, in my eyes, it's the best job that I could possibly get, and I wake up every single day grateful and looking forward to doing my job. And not everyone can do that, and I appreciate that, but it's something that I can do. So I'm very, very lucky to be able to do it.
If there's any Gills fans watching this, who would you say the most promising and people with most potential that you've seen in the Gills youth system at the moment?
I'm not going to say it just purely because the reason why I'm not going to say it is a reason where, one, I wouldn't want to put them on a pedestal that is hard for them to manage because they're so young. So I wouldn't want to give them the name exactly. And also it's just because you just don't know how differently ages of kids and stuff like that, and especially academy youth team players, they just all develop at different stages. And I might say a name to you now that never plays for the first team, but the one that does, I thought was like 5th, 6th, 7th in the line, and it literally does change that quickly. People come through that maybe their first year wasn't so strong, and in the second year you think, wow, he's become a player. So I don't really want to say a name, and I'm not going to say a name, but let me just say there's some good players in that academy. They are bringing through some good football players, and in terms of opportunities there as a youngster at a club like that, they are there. You look at Jack Tucker, you look at Joe Walsh, who are young in themselves, and Henry Woods, and there are more of them. So it's exciting, but I'm not going to give you the exact name.
Has the club obviously got ambitions to get more first youth players in there? Obviously, like we've got the story of Bradley Dack, obviously now smashing it at Blackburn. Is that obviously the aim for you?
That is the aim. That's the aim. Is if you're an academy manager, your aim is to be able to tell stories that you coached and brought through and developed them in the most important parts of their careers and their years as developing as a footballer. And they've gone on to do what people like Bradley Dack have done, and people like Jack Tucker and Joe Walsh are capable of being those next ones that do that, in my opinion. And there are ones below that can also do the same thing. And it's about being able to make sure that they're managed along that path. And that's the hardest thing. They've got the ability, they've got the talent, but it's the man management, and it's the understanding and the development from them to be able to continue that journey and to get to the top level, and then to continue to carry on from there. Because as a fan myself, getting into the first team was just a very, very pure start, and don't get me wrong, that is so hard to do. And I'm not playing that down at all. And I managed to do that, but then I wasn't able to sustain it and to go that next level. And that's the real hard thing to do. And that's when, it's important for them to understand that development takes time, but to how that works.
And in terms of your aspirations to become first team manager, what is the dream in terms of that?
The dream is to manage the highest level I possibly can. And when I say manage, I also put in that bracket assistant manager or first team coach, because as I say, if I was a first team manager with Steve, or first team coach with Steve Evans, the manager of who is the manager of Gillingham at the moment, that would be a dream come true for me at the moment. And then for argument's sake, if he goes and gets the club in a championship and I go along as a first team coach with him there, again, that's another dream come true. So it doesn't have to be, I say manage, it doesn't have to be me that's in charge. I'm not desperate for me to be the main man. And for it to be me that's, my name is the manager. I just want to be a coach and seen as an important figure of a real top club. As I say, imagine being on the coaching staff of Pep Guardiola's at Man City. You're not going to say, well, that's not something I want to do because I want to be the manager of it. Yes, you would do, but you'd still take and you'd still be quite happy with being his first team coach. So that's the point I'm trying to get across, that I want to be a manager of the highest team I possibly can, and a manager at the highest level. But if that doesn't, then it's assistant manager or first team coach, whatever that capacity is.
Cool. In going for Lance Cronin, I think during the time that I was at Ebbsfleet with Lance, I think he went on and played Football League when he got a Football League move, and for me, he was one of the best keepers probably since it's turned into Ebbsfleet, potentially from Gravesend and Northfleet. So for me, pleasure to play with a great lad. Probably retired too soon, but I know he's got a decent job and stuff like that. So different reasons, but very good with his feet. Obviously, a great shot stopper and had a really good career there. I mentioned Preston Edwards as well. I had a really good time with him. Obviously, got promoted with Preston. So, but he got on the bench as a goalkeeper on the bench for me, and they can fight it out between the two of them. Then I went with left back Joe Howe, best right-footed left back I've played with. Doesn't really use his left foot, but as a great left back, he always has a real good way of chopping back on his right foot and putting in decent deliveries. Very quick, works very, very hard, and probably goes a little bit unnoticed sometimes when he was at Ebbsfleet. He was a massive part for us, and obviously getting promoted and in the Conference Prem, and then when really established himself at the club at left back. So Joe Howe at left back, and then I would go with Paul Lorraine and Darius Charles at two centre halves. Both complement each other well, in my opinion. Paul Lorraine is probably lacks a little bit of pace, but he's got Darius Charles alongside him to get out of it. He's very, very quick. But Laura was always someone that was a leader, was a strong physical presence, was great in the change room, and similar from Darius really, and a little bit quieter in a sense on the pitch potentially, but he's gone on and had an unbelievable career and very sort of a great lad as well, and you know what you're going to get from him. So them two centre halves, and then myself at right back. Obviously, Ebbsfleet haven't had another right back since I've been there, so I'll have to put myself in there as a right back, considering that's where I played as well for them, even though I'm more centre half now and different things. But I put myself there at right back. Then I went for a free midfield, and I went for Stacey Long, Neil Barrett and Michael West. Neil Barrett probably a little bit more unnoticed, sits in there and will break things up and keep it playing nice and simple. He's more of a senior player in there. Again, another one that went a little bit unnoticed maybe at times at Ebbsfleet and come on a little bit stick sometimes unnecessarily, but very, very good at what he does and is an important part of the team. Had some good times with him there as well. And then Stacey Long and Michael West in front of them doing exactly what they do. It's very creative. Know the pictures before most other players, and Westy would have gone and had a really, really good non-league career, really good football league career. And I've got him in my team of 11 and top players that I've played with in other podcasts, and that's how much I kind of think of him. So And then I'll go with a front three of John Akindi, Matt. I'll go with John Akindi. Who did I have? I think. One second. I just
Godden up there as well.
Say again.
I think you had Godden up there as well.
Yeah, I think I had. Yeah, so I had John Akindi, Matt Godden, and Callum Willock were the three I went for.
Yep.
You know, John Akindi's gone on a great career, like he has done Football League. Now to the point where I have to kind of tell him what to do as kind of under 18s coach. So I come across him quite a few times, which is a strange one. I played a lot longer with him as a local level football player as well, Cobham Colts, with John Akindi. So I've known him for a very, very long time, and he's gone and had a great career. And then obviously Callum Willock. If I played with him, obviously got promoted with him. It's a shame that I didn't play with him for longer, because I can imagine in the early part of his career he was an absolute handful, because he was so strong, great in the air, bundles of pace. And then you can't really have an Ebbsfleet side anymore without Matty Godden in there, can you? No, he come there at a time when he was probably leaving Scunthorpe and looking for a loan, and he's come out on loan and did really well at Ebbsfleet, built his career back up, and ended up back in the Football League at a good side like Coventry again. So that's my 11. You know, I've missed out some good players. I know, like, you know, Nat Pinney, when he come on loan from Palace, he was very, very good. Gozzi, who's there now, that obviously he's had a great career as well. Very, very good when he was on loan from Reading. And then you've got people like Paul McCarthy, Leon Crooks when he was there, Yellow Mambo. So some very, very good players. So I've been lucky. I've been able to play alongside some good players at Ebbsfleet, which is part of the reason why I've got so many good memories, I guess.
Just a final question before you go. You've had 3 promotions with your Kent clubs, obviously Tonbridge, Dover, and Ebbsfleet. Which one was the best out of those 3?
I would probably say the best one is the last one. Just because it's the most memorable. You don't forget the moments, but they kind of, you know, that I've only had sort of 4 in my career, and obviously my first one was near on. You could probably tell me it's probably maybe 9-10 years ago. So you do slightly forget it, and obviously now I'm able to spend it more with my family. I see a lot more of you know, those being able to come to games, and my son, obviously, that's a bit older, that understands it a little bit more. So it's been nicer to be able to share those memories and those experiences with them. And obviously, making it so tough in terms of having to win a playoff final and then win another playoff final was always, you know, if we got through that, it was always going to be a little bit special. But they're all within their own rights, and everyone will live with me for the rest of my life. And like I say, you're not getting any younger, so you don't necessarily see them that are going to be around the corner again. So you probably appreciate the last one maybe a little bit more.
Obviously, big thanks for coming on, Craig. As you've seen, with Sam's gone, obviously we had technical difficulties, and Craig had the decency to come back on again. So big thanks for coming on again. Hence why we're in different locations again. But big thanks for coming on again. Obviously, all the best with Gills. Hopefully, maybe send a few of those young players out on loan to Ebbsfleet and push us up league.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully that can happen. It'd always be good to help former clubs. But no, it's great what you're doing. So I appreciate you having me on. It's been great.
All right, cheers, Craig.
Thank you, mate. Take care.
Cheers, mate. Cheers.
Cheers.